Hey everyone, welcome back to Eyes on the Ball. This should be episode 15. Let me just make sure. I'm not gonna lie, I'll be getting a little mixed up. Let me make sure real quick, bro. Jesus, I'm a horrible fucking host. Not gonna lie. Oh yep, episode 15. Anyways, it has been a while. It's been like a couple weeks. Not too much has changed in terms of the rankings. Who's gonna make it the farthest MVP candidate. Um, it's kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie. There's been a lot of things to happen, especially today, as the day I'm recording. Giannis and the whole Clippers thing with Chris Paul, which is insane. We're gonna get straight into it though. I did have some notes that I wanted to talk about before we kind of talk about like the other stuff that happened today. I am waiting for something else to happen later today too. I'm waiting for that Ja update on his injury, which I will also talk about later. After I'll talk about the other teams in the league. But first things first. Let's talk about OKC. OKC have been fucking crazy. Fucking like, when I think about that team, like I just think of a mystical god, a mythic being on planet Earth playing basketball. It's like the regular show episode where that fucking basketball deity just came down and just sunned everyone. It's like that's exactly what OKC is. Like they are literally just that undefeatable. They are dominating. They're extremely good defensively. Have like they've always been. I would say like their schedule has been kind of easy so far. They have won a lot of games that are obvious dubs. They beat. I think they played like the Jazz almost back to back, or like they had the Blazers already twice. Which the Blazers are the team that did beat them once, but again, like the Blazers aren't really the best team anyways, and they are kind of suffering from injuries as well, and not having like the best guys. Like I think I really honestly do think having oh my god, Drew Holiday was like a big kind of like reason as to why the Blazers won that game against OKC, because I think he just is such a great vet. I think he knows what is required to beat OKC, which is like shooting the lights out, and that's what you need. That is the only way to beat OKC. You have to shoot the lights out. There's no other team in the league that is going to win or beat that team by playing like their normal identity of basketball. Like you have to have a good shooting game. Either that, or you have to have slashers who are like kind of like 6'6" and higher, like kind of taller, quicker, athletic kind of wings who can actually get to the rim. Because I feel like the only way to beat such mobility and athleticism that OKC does have, like you need to kind of fight fire with fire. Cause that's the only way to win against them, unless again like you're shooting the lights out. But yeah, they're just fucking insane. Some stats that I got. This is without J-Dub, and so these stats are like I'm recording this the 3rd of December, and so they played last night. They beat the Warriors, and so that's J-Dub's 3rd game since his injury, or since he came back from injury. But these stats are like from the day before. So like I got these stats basically the morning of yesterday. So it's not completely updated or up to date for certain players or certain stats, but it's around the same thing. Obviously they were 20-1 prior to yesterday. Now they're like 21-1. They've been extremely dominant without J-Dub. Obviously they came back. Obviously when he came back, and they still look a lot better in terms of defensive, kind of like aptitude and kind of versatility. Obviously, again, like they did have an easier kind of record, so any kind of defense that they put down was going to be a extremely kind of halting or suffocating for those teams, because they're just not that good teams. What I would say though, before I do talk about that more, is they still played good teams like the Rockets. Again, that was a double OT game. They played the Lakers, and they kind of like they basically stopped Luka from being able to foul bait at all, and they kind of forced him to shoot, which is not the best thing when you're kind of forcing a player to do something and they're performing it badly. They played. Did they play the Nuggets? No, they have not. But they played some good teams, and they played the Suns at one game that was like last week, I think. And the Suns almost pulled that shit out, which is insane. And the Suns are low-key a sleeper team, which is like kind of bizarre. I did not think the Suns were gonna be this good, but I mean they're a pretty good team right now. They're a lot higher than I thought they'd be for sure. And so it is crazy to see like the Suns have a close game, but most of the good games or most of the good teams that have played against the Thunder, they do kind of they make it close for sure. Like even the Kings had a game where they looked pretty close with the Thunder, but then they just fall flat at the end, and that's because again the Thunder play hard all 48 minutes, which is something a lot of teams do not do. They usually let up for a couple of minutes, like 5 to 6, and those 5 to 6 minutes you're done for. But yeah, so the Thunder right now, they have a 103.6 defensive rating, obviously best in the league. Not only is it best in the league, it's a 7-point gap from the second place, which are the Pistons, who have a 110.6 defensive rating. Insanity. There was like a stat of like the on and off of Shea. And so the on and off of Shea is like he has a net rating of I think like 12 plus or something like that. But even when he's off, the net rating is still like a +8, and the defensive rating like 98, so it's like below 100. And I feel like there was like people going around talking about like basically that's not sustainable. And while I agree to an extent, I don't think it's crazy to say that the most like one of the historically best defensive teams of all time, if you take off one of their worst defenders, which is SGA, again it's not a bad defender, but if we were to start like Caruso for example over SGA, and you have that lineup of like SGA, Dort, J-Dub, Shet, iHeart, like like that is not only are they all kind of durable players, maybe Shet not so much, but like that's a team where it's gonna be hard to score on, and that 89 or 98 defensive rating is not like too crazy, because I think again like that is a extremely hard team to score on. It's gonna be tough to score on that team, and I think it's gonna be something where like I don't think it's unbelievable to think that defensive kind of capability is true or is sustainable, because I do think that it is sustainable. I also think that it's like I think a byproduct or one of the reasons as to why people say that is because like Shea is just so good that they want everything to like paint positively for Shea. But like the motherfucker is he might win MVP, and I think this year he has a better MVP case than last year. Like I was kind of like between the scale of whether it was going to be Jokic or Shea, but I think this year it's like, dude, for half of the team to be injured and for them to be 21-1 now is like disgusting. They only lost one game. Like they've only held their heads down for one game. Like that is insane. And we're like we're like a quarter into the season now. So it's like, and obviously he played every game. I think he missed, I don't know if he missed one game or if he was going to miss one game, which was a Timberwolves game. Obviously he played the Timberwolves game. I don't remember entirely, but I mean, Jesus, like for that team to be that good, half the team being injured, and I think it was kind of the same last year too. But I feel like again last year though, like I would say, like the lineup was. Alright, I'm recording. It's okay, don't worry. Hope you get home safe. I'll just cut this part out. It's okay. Alright, sorry. I had to cut real quick. I apologize. But last year they had Lou Dort playing games I think Caruso was kind of in and out of the lineups or the roster because of injuries in the regular season, but not the playoffs. But Lou Dort was starting. J-Dub was still playing. iHeart played most games too. Or no, actually I think he was injured a couple games too, but he was still playing, right? But they like usually that starting lineup was like pretty healthy. Like it was like kind of the bench that was kind of like in the mud sometimes. But like now it's like this lineup has not been the greatest in terms of health. Caruso is like hasn't. I don't even think he played more than 10 games. I could be wrong about that. iHeart hasn't played since the. I don't think iHeart has played yet. I could be wrong on that too. And Shet just came back recently as well, and obviously J-Dub just came back like 3 games ago. So it's like, and they're still 20-1 or 21-1. Like, what the fuck? What do you do? What do you do against a team like that? Not only that, I'm gonna talk about it too. They might get fucking 2 picks in this fucking lottery, and they get a pick next year too because of the Clippers shit. What do you do? What the fuck do you do? What are you supposed to do? You can't do shit against that. But let me get back to my stats. I apologize. But yeah, Shea MVP. He's averaging fucking. He has an 18 plus 18.6 plus net rating, and he's averaging and like I said before, in the tough games or against good teams or teams that are actually kind of giving Thunder kind of like a tougher break, right? It comes down to clutch, and Shea has been fucking dumping the mag on these niggas, bro. What? He's averaging 8.9 points during clutch time in 9 games, and I think last night was a clutch game too. So that's like 10 games, and I saw him hit like a nasty setback 3. He's averaging 68 true shooting percentage in those fucking clutch points. So it's not only is he fucking averaging damn near almost, like if you want to extra round, 10 points in the clutch, he's doing that at almost 70% true shooting. Which is like, bro, it's role players not even averaging that much. And you're doing that shit in the fucking clutch? What are we talking about? Like, again, and like obviously, like I'm a big Ja fan, right? I'm a Ja super fan. Like that is my favorite player of all time. So I have beef with Shea. Because he's like, obviously I gotta root for my guy, which is Ja. But after he won that chip last year, and got like one of the best teams of all time for a guard, like I can't hate anymore. I just can't. The foul baiting shit is one thing. That's the only thing I got left. That's the only thing I got left. Other than that, it's over. Like I can't. I'm just admiring greatness right now. Honestly, I just am. Like, he genuinely is unstoppable. He's a demon, right? It's just unfathomable what he can do. The fact that and like honestly, if I'm being for real, like last year, like when I would gas him, like I'd have like a little like a pain in my chest. I don't feel that shit no more, bro. I don't feel that shit no more. Like I my next note, J-Dub adds to the identity of OKC, which is being generated points off turnovers. He's just so quick. He's like, if you watch OKC, a lot of the time that they generate points off turnovers is Case and Wallace. Like, Case and Wallace will get a steal and he'll run straight to the rim. Same thing for Caruso. But I think J-Dub is one of those players where it's like, he is just so good on the fast break and going downhill, where if he's not getting the steal, like he's usually the first one head on that's on the other side of the court running down and trying to put the ball in the hoop, layup, dunk, whatever, alley-oop. I mean, when he first came back, I think his first bucket was an alley-oop from a Case and Wallace steal. So he just adds so much to that identity of what OKC is because he's such a good slasher. Let me see. So it was only 2 games. Again, as to when I had this, obviously he played a 3rd game last night, so the stats might be a little bit different. But so for those two games, 29.6 of his points were from turnovers and fast breaks. And so I wanted to look at it more deeply to kind of like verify if there was like a commonality. And so 24-25, so last year, 16% of his points were fast breaks and 19.3 from turnovers. And then you compare that to his playoffs during that year, it accounted for a lot more. Points on turnovers were for 20% of his points, which honestly makes sense because if you look at the 40-point final game that he had, a lot of those points were downhill scoring. Like he just generated points off of doing that, just being the first guy down the court, and just smashing that shit in the hoop. So yeah. Yeah, OKC just like what can you say? Like there's no other team in the league that is doing what they're doing and being that good. Like if there is to say anything, like I feel like that team is kind of officiated differently. Like, and I'm not even trying to hate. I think honestly, I think blindlessly being like, oh no, that team is not officiated differently. Like that I think is like horrible dick sucking. I'm not gonna lie. That team is officiated differently. Whether it's on the offensive end or the defensive end or both, that team is officiated differently. It is. I like you just use your eyes. Right. I don't give a fuck what the stats say. Use your eyes and then compare that to the rest of the league. It's just different. It is. It just is. Right. And so like I do think it affects how players like kind of go into playing against that team. But at the same time, it's like 21-1 is like disgusting. Like, and they're dealing with injuries, dude. Like this would be like if the Grizzlies, like maybe like the Grizzlies last year, if we were like playing like that. But obviously our star player does not play 80 plus games or whatever. So anyways, the next team I want to talk about are the Pistons. Jalen Duren. What the fuck? What the fuck? Averaging 19 and 12 on 70% true shooting. Extremely fucking dominant. Like he looks a lot more comfortable dribbling the ball up the floor and creating his own shots. 38% of his field goals made are unassisted, which means like he's basically creating on his own shots. 38% of his shots that he makes are unassisted, which is very interesting because last year was not like that. I don't know the exact stat, but if you watched him, you saw he was not comfortable putting the ball in the hoop by himself. A lot of it was a Cade lobs to him. So for him to turn into this fucking monster, I always thought he was gonna be like a double guy, like like a 10 and 12, maybe like a 15 and 10, or like a 12 and 10, 12 and 15. Bro, this dude was averaging like 30 points in like a 4-game stretch. What the fuck? What are you talking about? What? What? Like that shit blew my mind. I think when he had the first 30-point game that he had, I was just like, I was like in that box score and confusement, and with confuzzleness. What is he doing, and how is he doing this so good? He's looking like Dwight Howard out there, and like it's like disgusting. And like the craziest part is like that was without Cade. Cade was not playing during that time. He was dropping those like absolutely stupid fucking points. Cade was injured with like a hip contusion, I think. And now he's averaging just 30 like that, just like easy, like 30 and 12 or some bullshit. I don't know, and it's so weird because some of the clips I saw of him, Like it was like crossover. Bro, he's like 7 fucking feet tall doing crossovers. And like he's built like fucking I don't even know. He's built like fucking Kratos doing turnovers, doing crossovers and shit. What are you supposed to do? What? And then Cade obviously is like one of the best. Like he's like a top 5, maybe top 10 American talent in the league right now. Maybe top 5, averaging 28, 6 and 9. He does have inefficient games. Like he had the game where he shot 40 shots, and I think that is something that you look at where you're kind of like, because so at first when I first saw it and I first saw it happening, I was kind of like, okay, this doesn't matter if they win. And they won, so it didn't matter too much, right? Now, if they lost and he took that many shots, the problem is exacerbated a lot more. But they won. But then I saw a video on, I think it was DLE43. Again, huge shout out to bro. Amazing content creator. Amazing basketball analyst. But he kind of mentioned the statement of, are they in that game? Is that game even close if Cade is deficient? Which I think was a very important kind of distinction, because I think there's truth to it, If he shot like 40 shots and got 40 points or something like that. And so it's like, if he's not shooting that poorly, they're way above in that game anyways, because he's shooting efficiently, right? So I think the inefficient talks are something that are truthful, or not truthful, but like they have some validity to his kind of, like, if you wanted to scrape at his play style, his play style. But at the same time, I think it's like, I'm not mad at it. They're winning. I don't think efficiency matters too much if you're the star player and you are also affecting the game in other ways. Like, he is one of the better guard shot blockers in the league. He does rebound, and he does obviously one of the better playmaking guards in the league as well. So he's doing it all. I don't mind the inefficiencies, right? And so, and a lot of his points aren't threes, but he's been pretty okay from 3 as well, right? So like I would say, you kind of look at him, he's not extremely efficient, but he does it all, right? And I think that's something that you look at and you're not disappointed with it, especially again because that game, they won that game and they have been great. And I think the fact that he doesn't give up on defense, that he's actually like a pretty connective defender, and again he is a good shot blocker for a guard. Like, those are kind of things that you look at and you kind of like, he's trying on the other end, he's not just bleeding points, right? So that's something you look at, and I think that's like a good thing about it, honestly. And the other thing that I'm talking about was Dennis Jenkins. I think that he was a great pickup. I don't know his stats. I don't know. I think he's averaging like okay to mid stats, but the fact that he won them that one clutch game was enough for me to put him down. I think he's honestly great. I do think though that he is like pretty good, both as a shooter and being a rim pressure kind of guy. Obviously when he had that one clutch game, another pause. I apologize. But anyways, when it comes to that one clutch game he had, Ivy was out. Ivy was out for a couple more games after that too. But ever since Ivy came back, Jenkins been on the bench, or kind of like a bench piece, or just not playing games. And so I think there's like, you definitely have to see if they can make that work, because I do think both of those guys are good players, and I think you have to make them work. Just adding depth to like a good team overall is only gonna make your team better. So you just gotta make that work for sure, in my opinion. Lakers are the next team I was talking about. I had them pretty low. I think I had the Pistons low too, but yeah. But anyways, Lakers are 15-5. Oh, Pistons are 17-4. I forgot to mention that. Pistons are 17-4 from yesterday. I don't think they played yesterday. They played today. They played against the Magic today. And the Lakers, they didn't play yesterday, but the Lakers are at 15-5. My MVP ballot for this season right now is Luka. I was glazing SGA for like 10 minutes straight, but I do like the narrative around Luka. I'm not gonna lie. Listen, I'm not a scientist. I'm not an analyst guy. I like stories. I do. I like poetry. And if Luka wins MVP, fuck. Not only is it fuck Nico, it's fuck the Mavericks. Are you fucking shitting me? Dude, I need him to win. Fuck. Averaging 35, 9, and 9. Shooting 34% from 3, which is kind of low. It's not the best. It's like average. But then you realize he's shooting fucking basically 11 threes a game, and it's like, hey, we take that. He's also foul baiting his way to 12 free throws a game, which is insane. I think Luka, he really, so like from people that I know on Twitter, like some mutuals that I know that I have on Twitter, they want Luka to take more threes because they kind of don't like the twos that he takes, even though his twos are very like, they're just extremely efficient and extremely just like nonchalant. Like he just does that shit. But I think the threes is what they want him to take more, and I think I agree with that. I mean, he's averaging 11 threes a game, so I think right now his play style is good, and I think he has to keep on doing what he's doing. Obviously, you kind of want him to shoot a little bit better from 3. 34% is not the best. Like 35, 36 would be nice. Shooting 10 threes a game, because that's like, again, the gravity's insane there. But I feel like the thing this year that kind of like is interesting is I feel like with the Mavericks, he was with, and I saw a tweet or I saw a video about this. It was Player Option or was a podcast, but they basically say like, oh, Luka, the difference between Braun and Luka playmaking is like Luka realizes that there's a double coming, or that realizes if he can make a play here, while I think LeBron more so likes to play make, and so he creates these opportunities in order to get his teammates rounded up so that they are on fire later down the line, because you want the teammates to be on fire. And so I think that's very interesting, and it's an interesting and I think truthful kind of a statement or analysis. What's also interesting was that just the game that the Lakers lost to against the Suns, where Dillon Brooks absolutely went off, he said in the post game that the Lakers or the Suns kind of forced him to score instead of create for others, which I think is interesting as well, because it's kind of like, you're not averaging 9 assists only doing that, right? A lot of his assists I think do come from DeAndre Ayton, being who he is in the paint, and I'll talk about him too. But I think it's harder for him to kind of make shots or make looks for his teammate right now when he's taking so many threes, 1, and 2, when there's not a lot of guys on the team who are kind of like play finishers, right? Like Rui is one of them, I would say, but he's not really getting the ball that much either, but obviously going to be the play finisher, kind of gets at the end. Ayton is going to get it from a lob, and he might also get some like a mid-range pull-up. Reeves obviously is his own shot creator. Like, he has blossomed into this player who is his own shot creator, this 3-level scorer. So like usually they share the ball between both of them, and then LeBron, if he's playing as well, he might get the ball and be kind of like a connective passer kind of guy. But like, I think it is for him, like, it's kind of difficult getting into it with this roster construction, because I don't think there's that many guys who can finish near the paint like how he had in the Mavs. Like, again, you had Derrick Jones Jr., you had PJ Washington, you had Lively and Gafford. So you had these players who were really good around the rim, and you can create a lot of your easy rim assists because you're not taking that many threes. But now that he's taking so many threes, kind of like, it makes it a little bit harder to create for other players because you're taking so many threes, right? So that's just one thing that I was looking at with him. But again, I do think I think he is a player who I would say is MVP. Again, OKC is like I said the net rating thing without the on and off with Shea. Like I said, the net rating thing for a reason, right? Like that team can still be pretty good without Shea if Shea's not playing. Again, obviously, Shea's not playing the fourth quarter is like a testament to how good Shea is, but it's also a testament to how good the team is because I mean, fuck, if your best player was not playing in the fourth play, like let's say the Bucks, if Giannis played all 3 quarters and then stopped the fourth, the game would end at the third quarter because the other team is winning if Giannis does not play the fourth quarter, right? But OKC is good enough to allow Shea to sit because they're a good team regardless. They're gonna stop you from scoring anyways. So yeah, next thing for the Lakers, the Reeves leap. He is like genuinely a top 5 shooting guard in the league, I think, right now. I would say top 5. He's averaging 28, 6, and 7 on 68% true shooting. He's getting to his shots a lot easier, and he's also foul baiting pretty well too. Both of those guys are just foul baiting dickheads, not gonna lie. Like it's pretty bad. Obviously, the Laker whistle is like allowing that, but again, like they're creating their own shots. They're efficient, and I think they're like the best scoring duo, the highest scoring duo in the league right now, which makes sense because I think coming into the season, we did talk about them like that, like they would be so good offensively. So it's just cool to see it. Ayton, I wanted to bring up too. He's 16-9, shooting 16-9 right now. Shooting 73% away, shooting 70% from 0 to 9 feet away at the basket. I think he's a pretty good mid-range shooter, but that floater is abysmal, and I'm not sure why. I think the fact is that he is a good mid-range shooter, but he's not a good floater. So it kind of hinders his ability to play fast pace because he has to pull up on his mid-ranges, right? Like, it's harder to pull up into a midi when you're going super fucking fast because you have to have good breaks, right? Like SGA can do that, DeAndre Ayton cannot do that. So, yeah, and I think that is kind of like it's an interesting part of his play style because he lives in the paint. Like he's not a 3-point shooter. He's not by the baseline. Like he lives in the paint. So for him to be like a mid-range shooter guy who isn't necessarily doesn't really have the best floater, it's interesting. But obviously it's working right now. I think the only thing that you have to keep in mind is the defense. I think involving Rui more. Rui has been kind of complaining about not having the ball. He did say that he expected it, but I do think that you want to get him the ball a little bit more because he still is like a very dynamic player. He's a good shooter. So yeah. Rob is fucking geeked as hell about Reeves being who he is right now. Dude just keeps on spamming fucking Reeves stats and comparing him to Ja. Yeah, so my next team, I don't really have like the greatest stats for them, or the Mavericks right now. The Mavericks are, to me, are an interesting team. Like them having Coop obviously is amazing, and Coop has been getting better. And then Ryan Nembhard, who had like an amazing game the night before, like just extremely efficient. I think what was his stat? He averaged. He's one of the first players to score like 25 plus and have 8 plus assists without free throws. And the last player to do that was one of the last players to do that was Andrew Nembhard. So that's like cool company, obviously as a brother. But it also shows like how good he is. He's fucking 5'10" too, which is like insane. Like short guys on top, to be honest. But no, that team is very interesting. That team is top 6 in defensive rating, but their record is obviously very shitty. So I think that's like an interesting team. Obviously when Kyrie comes back, the offense is gonna be shit a lot more. And I think that you do kind of look at them. You do actually look at them like the dark horse that people had kind of going into the season. Does AD get traded? I think he does before the trade deadline. But I wonder if they still are going to try to compete with who they get back for AD, because I do think that when PJ comes back, Gafford comes back, if they do come back before the end of the season, they can still make a decent playoff run. Like, they could possibly be a semifinal kind of player, or quarterfinal. They could make it to the second round, I think. Not gonna lie, they have the talent too. And the West is kind of like, the West is weird this year. Like the Warriors aren't playing the best. Like it's kind of top heavy again, which is like kind of what you expected. But it's like what it's like 4 solid teams and that's it right now. Like obviously OKC, and you got the Rockets, the Nuggets and the Lakers. Like those are the 4 teams right now. Where it's like, who are like, you can see them going far and like being contenders. Obviously OKC number 1, but like it's not as it's not open, and so I think anybody can get to the second round, or the Mavs in particular. I know the East is a lot more closer, but it's kind of funny. I thought the East was gonna be a lot more top heavy than I thought. Actually, I don't remember what I said. I don't remember if I said that the East was gonna be like the West last year, which is like kind of all close. I might have said that before, and I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm trying to act like I'm like a W predictor or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, the Mavs are an interesting team. I think they beat the Nuggets in a pretty convincing way too. Like it's a clutch game, and they pulled it out, and that's interesting too. Obviously, Aaron Gordon is injured, and Jamal Murray is also injured, so it's kind of like Jokic has to do a lot more. We already know that he's not the best on defense, so but it was still a pretty bad loss, right? You have like an MVP runner up, and you lose to a pretty shitty Mavs team. So yeah, that's for me. That's me. Damn, what the fuck? That's what I say on the Mavs. And then my next team, don't really have anything to say about them more, other than the fact that they might give OKC a fucking top 3 pick, which is just disgusting. The Clips are fucking horrible. 5-16, play horrible defense. They don't have anybody that cares. Harden is scoring, but it's not enough. Kawhi is scoring, but it's not enough. Nobody plays defense. Everybody's fucking old as shit. They're all geriatric and they don't want to play basketball. I mean, and then the fucking Chris Paul thing this morning is insane. It wasn't even this morning. It was like at 3 a.m., which is disgusting. It's like 18 hours ago, basically, I think. No, like 15 hours ago. 3 a.m. Like, what? And like, Chris Paul being one of the franchise's most successful player, like probably the most successful player in terms of like overall career and like longevity as well. And to treat him like that is nasty. Nasty. Like, that's insane. It's insane. I think the fact that, like, it was just like it was like so late at night, or I mean early in the morning actually, to kick him out like that. Like, what, man? Like, that's just, I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's so fucked up because like he don't deserve that. And obviously, like, like he's complaining about the team just not being good too. Supposedly some reports came out and basically like players and staff on the Clippers were okay with kicking him out at that time, but it's like insane. And then Ty Lue and him weren't on speaking terms is hilarious, because how are you a coach of the team and a player on the team and you guys are not talking? I think, like, I don't know, I guess it's just like the unkness is just like affecting them too much, to be honest. And they're just like, damn, like, we don't want to listen to a fucking 6-year-old give us speeches at halftime. Like, we know we suck ass, and you talking to us like we are younger guys is not helping. Like, that's not what I can imagine, which is like kind of funny but also fucked up. right? But yeah, the Clips are just dog shit. Like, and it's nasty. Like, and the craziest thing is too, I don't expect them to crawl out of their space, and so I do honestly think that the Thunder will get a pick, which means that they have more assets to trade for the player who just today is talking about possibly getting traded, which is Giannis. And so, like, that whole thing is crazy too, because now, you know, all of the trade machines are going crazy. You know, all of the fan bases are speculating about where he could go, and yeah. So, like, obviously when the Shams tweet kind of blew up or whatever, the main thing that the one thing that I thought about was the fact that, okay, what team are you adding Giannis to right now and they become a contender immediately? Or already a contender and just need that extra step? Because obviously he wants to win. He wants to go to the team that's going to win. Or looks like they have a chance to win. So the number one team that came up to my head immediately was the Timberwolves. Do they have the assets? I don't know. I don't know about any other team's assets other than OKC because they have 1,000 million fucking picks. But I think Tim's would be a great spot. Anthony and Giannis would be fucking disgusting. Right? Because at that point, you don't need a fucking point guard. You have two fucking guys who are going to be fucking disgusting downhill. And then you have Giannis who can pass out to Ant on the fucking perimeter. Like, shut the fuck up. Does it matter? No, it doesn't fucking matter. Then obviously the Knicks was the one that kind of like he has alluded to. And it could happen. But I don't think the Knicks need him. So, yeah, that was my other team. The Cavs was one team that I think could be Loki could be great. Like, you know, a Donovan Mitchell and Giannis team would be insane. You know, either you give up Evan Mobley and picks, and like Darius Garland too, and possibly Jared Allen. But, you know, like, that guts most of the team as well, I'm not gonna lie. So, you know, I do think the Cavs would be a good spot. Warriors as well, obviously. But that would mean, like, you have to, like, trade Draymond and, like, Jimmy, not gonna lie. But they don't really have anybody either, too. That's the thing. So, I don't know. I don't know what other team. The Grizzlies is one team I do think they... Honestly, like, other than, like, the OKC, I do think we have a pretty good... Because we have a fuck ton of picks. We have a fuck ton of picks too because of the Desmond Bane thing. And so that's also one thing. Somebody brought up the Magic. So, like, a trade for, like, Giannis and then Paolo. Because how good the Magic are doing right now without Paolo. And that's another one that I saw. And then, like, kind of just, like, memed that the Blazers... But, like, he wouldn't go there. That doesn't make sense, obviously. I just thought it was kind of funny. But, yeah, those are, like, the teams that I'm thinking about that he could go to that would, you know, become immediately, like, contenders. But, shit, man. I don't know. There's a lot of places he can go to. And I think not a lot of places, but I think there's places where he can go to and they make he makes an immediate impact, and he does kind of change the, you know, their window, which is like today to this window to like winning this year. Because honestly, like, you know, if you think about it, bro, like, can the Thunder stop Giannis in 7 games? Like a Giannis and Ant, for example. Especially, you know, they still have Jaden McDaniels too, and he's scoring. I don't know. They could. They probably don't, but, you know, they could. I'm probably just trolling. But, you know, it's nice to think about. It's cool to think about. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder when, if it does happen, when it happens. I'm low-key kind of geeked to see. But yeah, that's it for those teams. I'm gonna rant now for the Grizzlies because I kind of, you know, I'm gonna keep this towards the end. I'm probably gonna do this every video from now on because it's my team. I gotta talk about them, but I'm gonna talk about them near the end more than I do in the beginning because I feel like it'd be better to speak about all the teams first and then get my thoughts out the way on those teams before I start yapping about my team. I don't know if it does matter or not, but to me it just does. The Grizzlies. The Grizzlies. We are 9-13 right now, I think. Let me see. We are 9-13 right now. We don't play again until Friday. We play the fucking Clippers, which is hilarious. And so, obviously, we start the season off kind of scared about Ja, if he's gonna play or not. Ends up coming, plays 30, fucking drops 35 points after Jaren Jackson Jr. and Jock Landale foul out and hits a game winner. History repeats itself, and that's what it did right there. It was the same fucking team too. We played the Miami Heat the next game, get dogged on, surprisingly, but whatever. You erase it. Next game after we played the Pacers, I think we won. John's a bad game. Then we played the Suns a little later. John's a good game, 28-7, 28, 6 and 7, or 28, 8 and 7 with a game winner as well. You're like, okay, this is nice, but you're seeing Ja Morant. He's not really playing like he wants to be. To invest into the game, attitude kind of thing, right? So then, obviously, the Laker thing happens where they're up 14, playing on fucking Amazon Prime or NBC or whatever, and he gives up on the team. Then he shit talks the coach, and all that shit happens. He gets suspended. So then, all this shit talks about, trading him. He's out of here. To the point where the team that has had his back since the gun incident, I mean, since forever, since he came to the league, but since the gun incident, which is like something where like, you kind of look at him and be like, when you do it twice, I'm like, but whatever. Some of the fans of the team switched on him. There's a decent amount of fans that switched on him too. And I get it. You gave up on the team. Not only that, but you haven't been playing the best since that give up. So you kind of have just been very mediocre in a season where your contract is on the line for next year, your next contract. The GM has admitted multiple times that they're building around you and Jaren, that you are the franchise. And your stats are statistically, you are playing your worst that you ever have. And so, as a fan of John, it is insane that this is happening. Because the first game of the season, and the games when Isalo was the interim head coach last year, showed me that Ja Morant never fucking left. That he can still play at a very all-NBA level. And he can put the ball in the hoop at an all-NBA level. That he can still be an all-NBA player. So for him to be playing like this is just disgusting. It is abhorrent. It is nasty. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to describe this. Because I know that's not Ja. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like, this version of Ja that I'm seeing is not the player whom I kind of fell in love with. One, but also two, like this isn't the same guy who cared about winning the way that he did before. And so like it's kind of like I don't know what's going on. Obviously, I do think a lot of it is more mental than it is anything else. Like, not only is it like, because the whole situation now has gotten to the point where it's like Ja's washed. He's like one of the bottom fucking 40 players in the league, which is probably right at this point of how he's playing. But you are very disappointed with how he's playing, and he's playing very poorly. There's not a single stat in the world that kind of has Ja in a positive light other than his free throw percentage, which is like fucking hilarious considering free throw percentages usually you look at and you're like, oh my god, he's shooting good from free throw, he's probably a good shooter. This nigga literally is shooting the worst percentage of his life on 3-point shooting. So obviously, I think it is a lot more mentality than anything else. I think the nigga's a goddamn troll too, cause what the fuck, you know. I do think though too as well, and I'm kind of going everywhere and anywhere all at once right now, cause like it's just like when it comes to this situation, like it's so frustrating to deal with as a fan, cause it's like he could play better than that too, like he can. So it's just like seeing him play like this sucks ass, cause you don't want him to play like this, cause he could play so much better. He could, especially now that Edie's back too, and then whatever. And I'll talk about that too. But it sucks that he's like playing like this because you want him to play better, especially in such an important year. But yeah, he's just been ass. He's been ass. But I do think again, like it is a lot like just mental with him. Like I don't know what it is that is affecting his mental, but the fact that he's just extremely scared too, extremely cautious. So which is also I apologize. I do think injuries is one thing that's affecting him as well. I do think, like, as someone who has watched Ja since his rookie year, I do think that scoring stretch he had last year after Jenkins was fired was one of the best scoring stretches of his career. Not only because of how good he was, how efficient he was, but how he was scoring. He wasn't putting his body on the line like that to score points. He wasn't driving to the rack every time to get points. He had that mid-range in his bag. He had the floater. And he looked fucking amazing. Like, that mid-range is something that's in his bag, and we saw it last year. And even this year, like, we've seen he's gotten to the spots, and the balls, like, it's off, but, like, he's getting to the spots, and those shots that he makes. So, I do think it is a mental thing. But I also do think he's trying not to be injured, and I think it's affecting him so much that it's affecting either his confidence or his ability to, keep it going. But again, I do think the injury play is like something that really is affecting his game as well. And you can tell what it is too, because he's just trying so hard to not get to the rim, and not like drive to the rim, which again, like sucks. Like you don't want him to not do that, because again, like, obviously you want him to be a better shooter, but we're like 8 years into his career, 7 years. Like if it's gonna happen, it's not gonna happen mid-season. You know what I mean? So just do what you're good at. And again, use that mid-range because that mid-range is there. Use that floater because that floater is there. But he's just not doing the best. And so, obviously it is disappointing as a fan. But I do think, again, like the main thing is like, and this is my thing too as well, like the main thing is always going to be effort. Like if you're trying out there and you play ass, that's different. But if you're not trying or playing ass, what's the point, right? But yeah, I think it's this effort for him. Obviously, Edie came back a few games ago, and he's been fucking incredible. And so I'm excited to see Ja come back with now that Edie's back, because I do think they're gonna be like Shaq and Kobe out there. Honestly, like not even like trying to be like if Ja comes back how he did last year, or plays like how he did last year, once Jenkins was fired, I don't think there's a duo that's gonna be better than them. Honestly, in terms of like offense or like just overall net rating impact, I think like maybe like obviously Shea and whoever, but like and then maybe Jokic and Jamal Murray, maybe Luka and Reeves, but then like those are the only other duos in the league where I'm like, they might be better than Ja and Edie, but I think Ja and Edie will be if like an extremely fucking crazy force. It's just Ja has to lock in, Ja has to play better. He has to remember that he is a player who can play at an All-NBA level. But yeah, then Edie's fucking amazing. Edie's literally one of the most impactful players of all fucking time. He is such a threat, and I made a tweet, but in my opinion, I think Edie and Wemby are kind of similar in the way that they just completely change how defenders play, or like just how teams play in general. Like it's like not only is it affecting the other team, but it's affecting your team, because they know that this fucking dude is 7,10,000. He's in the paint, and if you plod him the ball, it's going to be a easy 2 fucking points. And if he doesn't catch it, he's probably gonna get fouled. So Who fucking knows, right? But I think they are easily two of the most impactful players in the league. Like, they just completely changed teams, and especially with us, like, we were dog shit without Edie, and now we're like kind of decent, right? Obviously, we have not been a good team yet, an over 500 team. We were pretty close last night, but De'Aaron Fox just slotted us out, which I thought was gonna happen. Jaren Jackson Jr. did not play the best game. Jaren Jackson Jr. has been kind of disappointing too, but it's like, I don't know, with him, I think like when you look at it from like I guess like roster construction wise in terms of like financials, like he's being paid the most, so it doesn't make sense that he's like one of the most disappointing players in the team. But I do think like you don't want him to be a guy taking a lot of shots anyways, right? Like I think he is like a 2B, maybe third option kind of guy who is good on defense. And so I think we're expecting too much from him, but at the same time, it's like, he's paid the most. He has to be one of the players that can change games like that, And he hasn't really been that since last year in the Noah Roche offense. So yeah, I think he's been pretty disappointing as well. But again, like we aren't healthy at the same time too. So it's like, I think, a lot of it is just being like as a Grizzlies fan too, is like a lot of it is being just tired of it all, disappointed with like how either mediocre or kind of like in and out of hope that we are, because again, like the whole Edie and Ja thing, like Edie just came back and then Ja got injured, and Ja literally has been healthy ever since, like before Edie came back. Like he has not missed a game other than suspension. So it's like, so it's just like it's like a cruel joke, honestly. But you do want them to come back. You do want to pray for the healthiness. Ty Jerome comes back in like a few weeks. I think like 6 weeks, maybe 7 weeks. So yeah, I think when the team's healthy, it's gonna be different. But I do hope again, John Morant plays like how he's supposed to be playing, because I think John Edie will be a formidable duo, and they will be one of the best duos in the league. It just takes that, right? And it got to the point where it is to the point where some fans are just like over this season already, and they kind of want to trade John and Jaren and get a pick, and then get either Cam, Boozer, Donna Basta, or Mikael Brown Jr. with one of the players, Darren Peterson, other players in this draft class, because it's kind of loaded. And as a Ja fan, it's disappointing seeing all that, because like I want him to stay in Memphis and win with the team that he got drafted in, because I'm just rooting, like that's my favorite player, like I'm rooting for him like heavy. So it kind of sucks, but at the same time, like there is a part of me, like the other part of me, where like it's understandable, because it's like, how long can you deal with it, especially like when you're not getting results, the best results, at least the results you want to see. So it's like, I get it. If I was, that's why I'm not a GM. That's why I can't be a GM, because it's extremely difficult job, to be honest. But yeah, hopefully, we're waiting for news on today should be the update. He got reevaluated today, or he should be reevaluated today. It's kind of late though, so I don't think we'll get it today. Probably tomorrow, which kind of sucks. But hopefully, we do get it soon, and hopefully it's good news, because I really want him to play. I wanted to play like how he was playing before, and if he plays before Friday, which is the Clippers game, I mean that's an amazing game to come back to, because they fucking stink. So, but yeah, hopefully he does come back soon, because I miss Ja hoops. I do. But anyways, that is it for this episode. It was nice to come back. I know it has been a while. I apologize. I know, I get it. I kind of just been like, I've been working on like some data analyst shit. I need a job. I need a full-time job. Gang, it's part-time, not cutting it no more. But I need a full-time job, and trying to sharpen my skills. So that's what I'm doing. But yeah, I'm excited to watch more basketball. I'm just hoping John Morant comes back. I'm in Ja hoops. I'm in Ja hoops. Anyways, I hope you liked today's episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.